ranking Phase 5 of the MCU from worst to best. In last place is Secret Invasion. Now, I did just do a dedicated ranking to all the MCU TV shows, so I'm going to keep it kind of brief for them in this list, but I'm still going to say some different stuff about them, mainly how they wasted Nick Fury so badly in this series. Nick Fury is easily one of the best MCU supporting characters that we've ever had, and then you finally had him teaming up with Maria Hill in this, surrounding him with other great actors like Ben Mendelsohn and Emilia Clarke, and then they just completely ruined pretty much everything in this series, and it wasted all this potential. And at number 7 is Echo. This is very similar to Secret Invasion in my opinion, because the first episode gives you some hope and they pitch this as a way more prestigious and serious TV show, and then you get like 3 episodes in and you realize, hey, that was all just a marketing lie and this is just the goofiest thing you've ever witnessed, especially the final of her versus Kingpin. It's so stupid. At number 8 is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I swear this movie had such an easy formula for this to be at least a good to solid entry in the MCU, and somehow they just threw it away. First of all, you literally could have just kept the same exact tone of the first 2 movies, making a nice small scale heist movie with Paul Rudd just riffing with Luis and the rest of his ex-con friends. We completely get rid of them. We completely change the setting into the quantum realm, which just looks like absolute nothingness, and while it could have been executed coolly, they did not do it. The Ant family is fine, but Janet's really the only character that's actually interesting in this movie because of the stuff between her and Kang, honestly. You got downright laughably bad moments like MODOK. I don't even think the design is the problem, even though yes, that looks stupid too, but this is just such a goofy version of the character. Like, yeah, Jonathan Majors as Kang is trying his best to carry this movie up, but there's only so much he can do, and sadly he just cannot overcome the rest of the issues this movie has. It's simply just not as funny or charming as the first 2. At number 5 is The Marvels, a movie I actually have some positive things to say about. I think the action in this movie is a lot of fun, and just the overall directorial style, there's lots of fun shots in this. I think the chemistry between our main 3 Marvels here is actually pretty good. They have some really good moments bouncing off each other. I think they just don't lay into that enough, honestly. Outside of that though, the entire movie kind of just feels very forgettable when you actually look at the story of the film. It heavily suffers from having one of the worst MCU villains, not because of the actress being bad or anything, and they actually gave her some really good motivations, but the thing is they forgot to do anything else to make this villain interesting. I literally can't think of her name right now. Like, every time she's on screen, it's just absolute nothingness. Even though she has like a cool backstory and motivations, they don't make her do anything cool or villainous really with it that actually makes you interested in the movie. At number 4 is Agatha All Along. The first project on this list that I'd actually say is a good project overall. It's definitely not necessarily for me, not the type of thing I love in a TV show, but I can still respect a lot of the choices it made, and there was some really good moments. I think the biggest positive for me in this series is obviously Catherine Hahn and Aubrey Plaza, but besides their amazing acting is that this show actually followed a typical TV show format where every episode has its own little story in it, and we were doing lots of different trials. You knew what to expect every week. It felt like you were watching something written and designed to be a true TV show, giving you that great week-to-week experience, whereas a lot of other MCU shows just feel like a movie that they added an extra hour and a half onto and dragged out. The humor was kind of iffy for me. They tried to throw out a ton of jokes in these episodes, and I'd say about like half of them kind of landed and made me laugh, and the others were just kind of eye roll moments. I don't think the kid that plays Billy Maximoff is the greatest actor in the world or anything like that, and you guys know how I feel about the final, but I'm the only one that didn't like it apparently. And number 3 is Deadpool Wolverine. I know a lot of people and critics out there want to hate on this movie. I don't care. I had an absolute blast with this film, and I still think it's a great MCU entry. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are simply just too much fun, and their chemistry is insane in this film. And yeah, there are just some blatantly fan service cameos in this movie, but I think they actually work them into the story and give them really good moments all on their own really well, and B, I'm a fan and I like seeing the cameos from things I like. A lot of the action was fun, a lot of the music and pop songs that they added in over the action sequences in the classic Deadpool style just add so much life into this movie that a lot of MCU projects just haven't had lately. And number 2 is Loki Season 2. Only the second season counts for Phase 5. Season 1 was a Phase 4 project, but Season 2 was still an absolutely amazing season of this series. How many times can I say the word season? I could really rave about every episode of the series, but I want to focus in on the ending because I think that's what really elevates this to a top tier MCU project. Watching Loki make his grand sacrifice for his own glorious purpose and all the other members of the TVA now having to accept this and learn to live their new way of life is so emotional, and it perfectly wraps the series up in a way better than I could have ever imagined. But speaking of emotional endings that perfectly wrap everything up, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is my number 1. An absolutely great conclusion for all these characters that James Gunn just knew how to handle so perfectly through this trilogy and give them all such great endings to their arcs. This movie gets way deeper and more emotional than any of the other Guardians films, but at the same time keeps that same fun style and James Gunn humor that we all love. The soundtrack is as good as ever, and this is just an absolutely perfect MCU film. Honestly, it's getting closer to my top 5 as time goes on. And of course, I have to mention that the High Evolutionary is one of the greatest MCU villains we've had in a very long time. This is an all-time great, just lunatic villain performance. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like on this video and click down below to watch a video where I rank every MCU TV series, and make sure to let me know in the comments what your ranking of the MCU Phase 5 is so far.